Those seasonal slumps that you might be experiencing, the dips in motivation or energy that are triggered by seasonal change, like shorter days, weather shifts, the sense of summer's over, they're not something to try to beat or something to ignore. Trying to brute force your way through those low energy phases doesn't work. It will backfire. But instead, if you lean into it, you can plan around it and you'll get more appreciation and enjoyment from the natural qualities that each season offers. I'm Toby Griffiths, and this is the Mind and Matter Fitness Podcast, the #1 podcast for midlife guys who want to become more physically, emotionally, mentally, and cognitively fit and healthy. We talk about training, nutrition, habits, behavior change, productivity, focus, and much, much more. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and consider sharing with a friend. If you've been experiencing a downward shift in your focus, energy, and motivation as the weather has got colder and the nights have drawn in, and if you're feeling the subtle urge to hibernate like a bear and emerge again in spring once the weather's better again, then this week's podcast is for you. We are going to talk all about the concept of seasonality, why it makes sense to lean into the natural shift in your energy and motivation during the winter months, and how you can preserve your energy and your motivation and focus as best as you possibly can as we approach the end of the year and help you start 2026 the right way. I am a huge fan of the concept of seasonality in that there is no way anyone can perform at their best and go full throttle towards their goals all year round. Your time and energy just don't work like that. In order to speed up and be the best you possibly can be when you want to go hard towards your goals, you need to strategically slow down, nurture your energy, and factor in periods of rest and recovery. Just like I talked about last week when I talked about the idea that slowing down is anything but lazy, slowing down is the smart choice to allow you to speed up as best you possibly can. For me, I naturally do this through August when the kids are off school. I tend to work maybe 50% of the time. I enjoy spending more time with them. And it's not only about that, it's also about the break from routine, the break from structure, and the break from pushing hard. And as we approach the end of the year during December, I won't be doing a lot of sales work, a lot of marketing, because let's face it, who's going to sign up for a fitness product in December? But I'm also planning ahead for January because I know that's going to be a busy time and I'm putting the groundwork in place. But it's also a time when I can take a bit more time off work. I've got a few social things coming up and I'm just leaning into that. This is a common concept in the world of productivity. In Cal Newport's book, Slow Productivity, he explores the idea of having seasonality in your work. He encourages the idea of having no meeting days in your week. So for me, I don't have calls on a Monday or Friday so that I can ease into the week and finish my Friday effectively when I want to, when my work's done. And a slightly novel idea, he encourages the idea of quite quitting your corporate job for short periods of the year. Not making a big deal about it or telling everybody that you're quitting, just going a little bit more quiet, focusing on easier tasks for a period, which could be a week or a month, that allows you to replenish your energy and then go hard towards your career goals after that period. Or as an entrepreneur, for me, having periods of the year where I just enjoy the fruits of my labor, not constantly pushing for growth. And August and December are really good examples of that. In Paul Millard's book, Good Work, he talks about the idea that managing the way that you work, following your own path, is very different from the traditional 9-to-5 corporate path that most people go down. And when you are working in an environment where you have a lot of autonomy and freedom over how you manage your time, which is anyone in a knowledge worker type role, really, it's not just about optimizing for time. It's about how you optimize your energy and paying more attention to how you feel. Millard says, most of the world defaults instead to a factory schedule. They see work as constant effort, 5 days per week, 8 hours per day. However, my experiments with writing and work over the years have helped me see how limiting this perspective is. How much great work is never started because of people's dedication to the standard work week. I mean, what if writing a masterpiece would require taking an entire year off followed by a year of intense work, or that the best work might result from working in seasons, taking every 4th month off? I love this idea because it aligns so well to the way I want to work, but also it aligns so nicely to my ethos when it comes to pursuing any hard goal, including, yes, health, fitness, physique goals. You have to take intentional breaks so that you are able to speed up and give it your all when the time is right. Now, it should be obvious that most people don't do this, do they? Most people just default to a standard linear approach to how they manage their time. And most people, let's face it, are not thinking about how they protect their energy, replenish their energy, make sure that they are fueling their energy, especially at those times where it might be lower. In Austin Kleon's newsletter last year, he talked about a book by an author called Catherine May. The book's called Wintering, The Power of Rest and Retreat in Difficult Times. The idea that May talks about in the book is how essential winter is to the process of living things. Whereas we as humans tend to ignore our body's natural cues and the changes in our energy and our focus and how we might feel, plants and animals don't do that. They don't pretend it's not happening and attempt to live the same way in the winter as they do in the summer. They prepare and they adapt. Winter is a time of withdrawing from the world, maximizing scant resources, and to an extent, disappearing. But that's also where the transformation occurs. As May says, winter is not the death of the life cycle, but its crucible. We often think of winter as a time of death and nothingness. The trees are bare. People are staying indoors. There's less fun stuff to do, let's face it. But underneath all that, elements are coming together to make something new. And I think as humans, we need to adopt a little bit more of that. I was inspired to record this podcast after reading a great blog by Rescue Time, which is a productivity tool that I use, but also just in conversations with a few of my clients recently. I was talking to Andy, one of my mastery clients, a couple of weeks ago, and he was explaining that he has had the urge lately to hibernate and disappear. And with that awareness, he can now put things in place that will allow him to at least maintain a level of consistency and discipline when it comes to his goals, which don't necessarily mean pushing hard and going full throttle, but doing enough that's going to make him feel good and stay aligned to his overall goals and the kind of guy he wants to be. And I've talked to other clients recently who are also experiencing that natural dip in their sense of energy, their sense of enthusiasm towards achieving their health, fitness, their physique goals. And I know for me, I've had a really good autumn. Business has gone really well. I've pushed hard and I've had a lot of fun as well. But I also know that I've been doing that with the knowledge that come the second or third week in December, I'll be slowing down and I'll be having 2 or 3 weeks where I'm just not really pushing myself when it comes to my work, knowing that I'm then setting the groundwork for a really positive and productive start to 2026. I really feel like all of the seasons have their own symbolism and meaning. Spring is a time of growth. Spring is a time when people do think about their health and fitness and physique goals and about where they want to be by the summer. It sharpens the focus. Summer for me is a time where I lean into the idea that my routine is more fragmented because I thrive on routine and structure, but I also know that I need those periods where things are a bit looser. And yes, that can be frustrating actually for someone who loves routine so much, but I lean into it. It's a time of being outdoors. It's a time of having fun, of exploring. Autumn, for me, this will all be different for you, but for me, is a time of working hard and playing hard. That's our birthday season, so we always seem to end up doing loads of trips and things like that around October to November, but it's also a time that is really, really positive for me in the business. If I look back over the last 3 to 4 years, September, October, November are always really good times. So I lean into that. I work hard. I push hard at my strategic projects, but I also play hard. And then winter, for me, is a time of reflection and planning ahead. So I will take time through December to reflect on how the year has gone and plan ahead for what I want to achieve next year with my work, but also with my health, my life goals, and everything else. Now, yours might be slightly different, but The point I'm making is that every season has its own natural sense of things. For me, I can lean into that and use that to my advantage by not trying to push against the inevitability that in the summer, my routine's going to be a bit more fragmented. But I know in spring and in autumn, I'm going to have more routine. It's going to be simpler. I'm going to be able to work hard. I'm going to be able to push hard. Or in December into January, trying to win at the world, achieve all my health goals, achieve all my work goals, because my energy's not going to be there for that. Yes, it will be there again in January after a break, but through December, I'm taking advantage of the natural dip in people's focus on fitness. So Rescue Time wrote a blog called How to Work with Seasonal Slumps, and that's what I want to use as the basis for the rest of this podcast. The link is in the show notes if you want to read it. I would definitely encourage you to read it. It's from a productivity perspective, but you can apply all of this just as easily to health, fitness goals, but to any other big goal that you might have in your life as well. And that's what I'm going to do. Core message is that those seasonal slumps that you might be experiencing, the dips in motivation or energy that are triggered by seasonal change, like shorter days, weather shifts, the sense of summer's over, they're not something to try to beat or something to ignore. The author argues that instead we should work with them, accept them as natural rhythms and adjust our expectations and adapt how we organize our work, our habits, so that we can stay effective through autumn, through winter, into spring without burning out. Because we are not machines. And our productivity, our focus, the sense of our excitement about achieving our goals naturally ebbs and flows through the months and over the course of the year. Trying to brute force your way through those low energy phases just doesn't work. It will backfire. But instead, if you lean into it, you can plan around it and you'll get more appreciation and enjoyment from the natural qualities that each season offers as well. Your circadian rhythms change over the course of the seasons. So darker days, less sunlight, it's natural that they're going to affect your mood, your energy, your motivation. You compound that by the weird shift that you might experience between a high energy season like the summer to a more sober, introspective time of year through the autumn into the winter can lead to a cognitive distortion. Because physically and mentally, you might feel like this is a time to slow down a little bit, but your work doesn't give a shit about that. You still want to achieve your health goals. You're probably still quite busy socially, especially as we enter December and then Christmas party season. And that tension can create a disconnect and really a feeling that I'm behind, I'm failing. What's wrong with me? Why can't I keep pushing the way I was earlier in the year? But you shouldn't feel that way. It's counterproductive because it's completely natural. Just like Catherine May talked about, if you look at nature, nature slows down, nature transforms and changes through the winter. So why should we expect that we are going to still be going full throttle all the way through? Now, I should say, this might not be the same for you. Maybe you feel more energized through the winter. Maybe you're someone who doesn't actually like the warm weather, hay fever, sweat, and maybe you actually thrive in the winter. The point is not that winter equals slowdown and summer equals speed up or anything like that. The point is that your own natural drives and motivations will shift at different points in the year. So why does this matter? Why is it important that we are aware of these shifts that we might experience? Well, when you've got multiple goals, maybe you've got career goals, family goals, self-improvement, health, whatever else, these slumps can often come at awkward times because the goals are important to you. You're listening to this because you are serious about achieving what you want to. You invest in your health, you invest in self-improvement and in growth. And that means you are likely to put some pressure on yourself to achieve remarkable things or accomplishments. And therefore, these shifts can come at difficult times because the goals matter to you. But by adopting a framework like I'm talking about here, that gives you permission to downshift and upshift and stay consistent rather than crash. Because if you just try to brute force it, you will just crash. And then your motivation will really tank. Then you will end up burning out, you'll end up feeling like shit, and you'll feel like you failed. The other reason this matters, and the other reason this aligns so nicely with the ethos of Mind and Matter Fitness, is that it's about flexibility over rigid discipline. It's about adapting. It's about awareness. And these are core values for me and for Mind and Matter Fitness. Imperfect consistency over perfection and optimization. Imperfect consistency through the darker months might come from a little bit less discipline on your nutrition during December without making December a complete write-off, or just doing one less workout a week maybe. Maybe you go down from 4 to 3 because you're just finding it difficult to get going in the mornings. But the point is, that keeps you consistent. That keeps things ticking over, and it's sending the signal to your brain every single day. I'm a guy that takes my goals seriously, but I don't set unrealistic standards that I can never meet. I can overcome adversity, and I take care of my business. And that means it supports sustainable momentum. It supports the idea that progress is never linear. By recognizing fluctuations, you reduce the risk of completely giving up, completely ending up back at square one, especially at a time when life might be a little bit more busy. So, what can you do about this? Here are 5 areas where you can focus on and some actionable advice that you can start acting on straight away to help to stabilize your energy levels through the winter and emerge like a beautiful butterfly in spring, feeling fucking awesome. Firstly, stabilize your circadian rhythms. This is even more important when we have less access to sunlight. So, regular bedtime and wake up within a half-hour window every night and every morning. So for me, 9 to 9:30. 9 o'clock, we will go to bed. 9:30, probably lights out after we've done a bit of reading and everything else. I wake up. I don't wake up with an alarm. It's one of my definitions of success in running my own business. I don't need an alarm. But I always wake up between 5:30 and 6:15, naturally. That means my sleep drive and my sleep-wake cycles are really stable. And that means my energy sustains me through the day. Ideally, you want an 8-hour gap between those 2 time windows so that you're giving yourself the best chance of getting at least 7 hours of sleep. Definitely get morning sunlight. So if you do the school run, lucky you, you're getting your morning sunlight. If you don't, you need to find a way to get at least a 10-minute walk outside every morning as soon as you can when the sun's come up. And I would also encourage you to get some afternoon sunlight. Ideally, that would be before the sun goes down, but that's usually 3 to 4 p.m. And maybe if you're doing the school run, you're in luck. But if you're not, that can be difficult when you've got a job. But I would definitely encourage you to try and get at least 5 minutes of sunlight, maybe after lunch. I would also be taking vitamin D3 every single day. I would do that year round, actually. Most of the people listening are in the UK, not everyone. But if you are, then even during the summer, you might not be getting enough sunlight and enough vitamin D3. So I'd encourage you to take that all year round, but especially right now. You can take this a step further by investing in a satellite, which if you switch it on and have it going in the mornings, can help to really stabilize your circadian rhythms and again support the sleep-wake cycle even further. So we have Lumi Vitamin L. This is the mini version, which is still more than enough. It's just on the kitchen table all morning, so I switch it on when I wake up, and it's just on all morning, and then we switch off. We don't stare into it really closely. It's just there, and that's going to help. The second thing I would encourage you to do is to reflect on small, active leisure activities that nourish you. By active leisure, I mean time that's not spent doing something productive, but is spent being active. For me, that looks like making sure I get enough fresh air every day. So a post-lunch 10 to 15-minute walk is something that I am committing to. And yeah, I don't do it every day. It's Wednesday. Yesterday was Tuesday. Tuesday is my check-in day. It's also a day I do some client calls in the afternoon. And I had a lot to do. It was an intense day. And I didn't get out of my post-lunch walk because I had a call at 1 p.m. And I ended up only getting 8,000 steps. So I didn't hit my step target either. But I'm not giving myself a hard time over that because the goal is not to be perfect and 100% consistent. The goal is to be as consistent as there possibly can be. So today, lighter schedule, working at my own pace without so many demands on my time or so many obligations, perfect time to get out for a walk after my lunch. So I'm committing to getting enough steps and compounding that by making sure that I'm getting enough fresh air, which will happen naturally, and enough sunlight. Another thing that helps to protect and replenish my energy is trying to finish earlier a little bit. Now, I've been doing that on a Friday. It's easier for me than it might be for you. I will acknowledge that, as if you are not running your own business or you don't have complete autonomy over your time. But most people have got more autonomy of their time than they might believe. Even if you're in a knowledge work job, corporate environment, unless you're in an office, which to be fair, you might be, but if you're not on a Friday, is anyone going to notice if you just log off a couple of hours early, go for a walk, read something, go to the gym, whatever it might be? As long as you've still got your phone with you and you're still contactable, I bet no one will notice, unless you've got calls. Who the fuck organizes calls in a corporate environment at like 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. on a Friday? Don't they understand? So yours might not be those, but I would encourage you to think about small, simple activities, active leisure, that help to nourish and replenish your energy. By the way, active can mean physically active, like those examples, or mentally active, like reading, listening to a cool podcast, combining listening to a podcast with walking. Boom. You're covering so many bases doing that. Third, lean into the season. Lean into your natural desires. So for me, my natural desire at the moment is to reflect more. I find I'm writing more without actually making a conscious effort or decision to write more, but I just find that I'm naturally motivated to do it a bit more. Lean into that. Reflect on your progress this year. Start thinking about next year. Start planning ahead. I would encourage you to protect some time over the course of December, maybe in Twixmas, the period between Christmas and New Year when nothing happens, for quiet reflection and envisioning what you want 2026 to look like, and lean into it even further. Do it in a cozy blanket with a hot chocolate. This is a time for coziness. This is a time when we as a family are all like under blankets as we watch TV in the evening, all snuggled up on the sofa. And I'm leaning into that. And the point is, I'm still going to the gym. I'm still tracking my nutrition. So I'm still doing the things that I need to do to take care of business, but I'm also leaning into the natural desire for being a bit more cozy than I would at other times of the year. And on that note, the fourth thing I would encourage you to do is to keep taking care of business. So your energy might have dipped. You might feel a little less motivated. That is okay. It's natural. That doesn't need to be a reason for completely giving up on everything. Because by doing that, you will end up in a couple of months being really pissed off with the fact that you didn't stay consistent with aligned actions, habits, behaviors of the guy you want to be. But it doesn't have to be to the same extent as it might have been in spring, summer, or autumn. So yes, we are all going to eat a bit more food in December than we otherwise would, because there is food available at Christmas time that you just can't get at any other time of year. And that's okay. But can you still track your nutrition without judgment? I tracked a mince pie on my fitness pal yesterday, my first one of the year. And exercise-wise, can you still get your steps every day? Can you still get 3 workouts in a week? maybe an extra cardio session. Maybe you downshift a little bit. You don't necessarily aim for the same aggressive caloric deficit, but you keep tracking your nutrition. Maybe you don't try and get in the gym every day, but you try and get in 4 days a week. There is plenty you can still do to make yourself feel good. The point of this is not, I have to do this. It's that you and me both know that doing these things makes you feel good, and completely ignoring them or avoiding them or using December as an excuse to completely give up will make you feel like shit in January. I promise you. And lastly, number 5, this is when a backup plan is even more important than ever. Yesterday, my check-in Q&A, which I do every week, one of my clients asked me for some advice on what to do when life hits, life is chaotic, and that means put his workout back from Tuesday to Wednesday, and then from Wednesday to Thursday, and then by that time, fuck it, I've missed it, I've failed. He hadn't failed, he just had failed to prepare. My answer to him and my answer to you is to make sure that you have a backstop plan in place. So when life hits, what is it that goes out the window for you? Is it getting to the gym, getting your workouts done? Is it nutrition and you just end up eating everything? Or is it both? And depending on your answer, that's what you need to prepare for. So if you struggle to stay consistent with training when work or family or something else comes up, as it's likely to through December, you need a backup plan. The backup plan can be a series of at-home short workout options, which you can do with bodyweight, like HIIT workouts, or maybe it's a couple of dumbbell circuits or complexes that you can do at home that you just have in your back pocket in case you can't get your normally scheduled workout or in case you can't get to the gym. Or nutrition-wise, I was talking about this with one of my mastery clients the other day who was telling me that his nutrition when he's at home is locked in apart from 2 situations. He's at home alone at the weekend and he doesn't have a plan and he hasn't been shopping. So for him, we've developed a weekend plan B. And the weekend plan B is having some microwavable grains in the cupboard, some pre-cooked protein, delicious, like marinated chicken or something in the fridge, Baby Bell, protein bars, salad bags or frozen veg, so that the next time he doesn't have a plan at the weekend, which is going to happen, even with the best laid plans, there's going to be a time when that plan doesn't work. He's got the backup plan. He knows what to do. And that means he's going to make more aligned choices. And he's going to come into Monday and Tuesday and our next conversation feeling more aligned, feeling happier and more optimistic that he made the choices that he wanted to at the weekend and less pissed off that the weekend has been a reason for everything to go out the window. Trying to reactively build a plan when you need it will not work. When decision fatigue is high because work stress, family stress, just loads of commitments or whatever, you're not going to be able to build a sensible plan because you won't have the cognitive energy to do it. Build your plan when you don't need it so that it becomes easier when you do. And at this time of year, that's even more important because for all of us, there are going to be weeks through December where our usual routine is a bit impacted through travel, social events, visiting family, having access to more food, gym being closed or whatever else. So what is your backup plan? So there you go. Those natural dips in energy and motivation and focus that you might be experiencing right now are completely normal. Lean into them. Seasonality is a real thing. It doesn't have to be a reason for completely giving up on your goals. You keep things ticking over. You set yourself up for success by nourishing and replenishing your energy. Enjoy the unique qualities of winter. Like this morning, I looked out my son's bedroom window and the skies in winter when the sun is out are stunning. The pinks and purples, the colors, amazing. And that low winter sun means it has a unique quality that you don't get at other times of year. Or just that appreciation in the evening for being under a blanket, watching something good on the TV with a hot chocolate. Lean into it. But keep taking care of business by setting yourself up for success and knowing what success looks like on a good week through the winter, but also on a chaotic week as well by having a backup plan. Links are in the show notes. I have some interviews coming up soon, so look out for those. Have a good one. Take care, and I'll see you next time.